All right. I'm here in a historical context. I have much history to relate. I am going to read a poem, but when Lady Bill asked me if I'd read a poem, it occurred to me that the only poem that could really answer to that would be the poem of mine that she had been searching for on her own for 10 years, keeping me apprised of the search the whole time, that I didn't have. And she found it just a week or so ago, so that's the one I'm going to read. The reason that she appreciates it so much, I think, is because it's about Steve Sleepak. You know, there's a lot of love in it. What I see when I look at it, but I'm going to read it anyway, I'm going to make this sacrifice. At the time, I had just suddenly done this real extreme backflip for modern poetry, having discovered it that week. And I, you know, 6 months later, I was in the MFA program up there, and I was reading modern poetry from morning till night, And then I have this friend who I'm going to tell you about, those of you who don't know Steve, but he had cancer. He was dying, and this was quite a blow to all of us. So I wrote this poem about it, and when I look at the poem, all I see is one move after another that the poets that I was reading were doing, you know, so I'm imitating modern poetry in order to try to learn it, you know, and I kind of did. Here's one of my real poems, okay? It's a short one. It goes like this. The title's part of the poem. Okay? This is the title. So I'm going to read the first line is the title, and then the rest is the poem. I don't think you should touch that organ. It could be haunted. Now, if you think about that, there's a whole ars poetica in there, you know. But I'll let you take that one home with you. Here, I heard Lyra mention 1969 and a certain thing that happened then. I think she must have been talking about Woodstock. I was there. I went from Quarry Hill. You know, back in 1969, all the people that were at Quarry Hill were probably all within 4 years of the birth date of Quarry Hill. You know, I mean, like, Quarry Hill's 65 years old, I'm 63 years old. You know, I was one of the older people here, but so the youngest person would have been, not counting the family, would have been about 17. The oldest was probably 21, not counting Alan. So there was a time when we were all the same age. I mean, look at it now. You know, we got 3, 4 generations here. I don't know. A word about Steve Sleepak, though. This was a man, a real character. Many of you don't know him. Many of you probably were too young to even remember his personal style. But he was a busker by profession in New York, a pro. His name was Professor Ben Deasy on the street. He could played great banjo. He could sing. He was the best balloon twister in the world because he had the strongest lungs in the world, which bears on this poem. There's some of that in there. He could take one of those long balloons and he would stretch it like that, and he'd go, and that would be it. It'd be blown up, and 2 minutes later it'd be a dog or a cathedral. He typically wore a flat brim hat, you know, and when he was young, he wore sailor pants, but, you know, as he grew older, he got a little more stylish. Sleeveless muscle tee, always in the new 1949 Packard, he'd come up the driveway, or a 1946 panel truck, which was Quarry Hill's green truck for many, many years, did all wood trips. It was a great event when Steve would come up, and he was a big, strong guy, although he didn't look it, you know. That bears on the poem too. It was deceptive, you know. I was an athlete of some renown, you've heard of me, you know. I thought I was fast, you know, I'd run like the wind, right? And Whereas Steve looked like this big plodding guy, right? So he offered to race me. I said, sure, yeah. I was willing to give him a head start. As it turned out, he gave me a head start. And, well, I'll let you listen to how it turned out. So, you know, forgive all the gimmicks, okay? But the essence about Steve and me and that day, anyway, is in here. And thanks for putting up with a long introduction. Okay. It's called Gifts of the Gods, and it's for Stephen Sleepak. I've tried. I just can't conceive of your dying. I guess you must try too. And I think if it won't come to me, maybe it won't come to you. It means nothing, even less. But the lame truth is that I could drop like a stone tomorrow. Seems unlikely. So far, there's always another day. And it's filled with 1,000 details of just getting on towards evening. Little enough spent in the infinite breadth of the minutes. I see you sitting or walking, wrapped now in scarf and hat. You and cold taking measure of each other. And I know you're gathering that red streak of cloud, that sudden moist breeze, the incredible swirl of leaves, or another full moon. Such a gift. I can picture your smile, not as if you could save these things, but as if you can't. And who knows it better? And now while this, yes, just say it, fully possible beauty whirls and dips and rushes before us, it will find you awake, alive, listening. When the creak of dawn rolls away the wraps of tomorrow, you'll know this one's for you. How much gifting can one man take? Expansion was always our wont. Breathe it all in. We use nothing. It uses us. This day is painted for me with that soft glow in your eye. Your smile, slow enough now. It gives me time as it stretches to look deep in my heart. It gives me time. How strange as you sift each grain, now a physical task. A shy courage which speaks to my own. In this day, this minute, even sharper, this moment. Pale center of this radiant cyclone that never ends, never moves, as our lives swing past. Civilizations rise and fall, tribes gather and disperse. Like spores from the stars, this moment that will be here like this when we're both beyond memory, my friend. This moment, I tell you that I love you, beyond words, and beyond my courage to even be with you, to sit with you, saying nothing. Me who's always moving away. Remember, we were young once. I thought I could run like the wind. Well, I thought like a god, a young one, that I was invincible. Whatever challenge I took up would lie down before me like a feast and speak my name just to join in the glory. It sounds silly now, but it had a certain boyish charm. And this day, I'm remembering now, sun, few puffs of clouds, high over the meadow. Southwest, a pale disk of afternoon moon. I think you were wearing those white sailor pants. Funny, just what we remember. A few girls, we called them that then, by the yellow trailer, teasing and prancing like deer, caused me to take out my gleaming horn and blow it. I was fast as the wind, lifted by a grace with no name I knew of. Why, Mercury himself, pathetic little wings on his ankles, had better just forget it. You smiled, broadly as they say, eyes sparkling, said only, let's have a run around the meadow. At that time, there was a rutted dust track from the green trucks slipping and sliding each spring, each fall, and I guess from how often it was stuck, after each pelting rain, it must have mushed around the tilting oval, spinning ever more inventive paths and valiant attempts to regain the heights of the knoll. I think I remember, but this is painful, so I can't be sure. I think you even gave me a lengthy head start. What I do remember, like it was 5 minutes, not 23 years ago, and that's 23 years ago, 15 years ago, is how quickly I adapted to my incredible shock as you turned, burned by me on piston legs, already with distance growing smaller, already making the turn by Libby's little cabin. Nutsy was a dog we had here then. Nutsy gently lifting from dreams we couldn't imagine to give chase. Laughing now as you turned up the long uphill stretch. I was still coming down by Lady Bell's cabin here. And I calculated a desperate trajectory and cut like the wind, remember? Right across the meadow, meeting your grin as like a train you pounded by Clipper's unfinished cabin, and grabbing your belt from the back with both hands as you roared by unslowed. Thus we finished, 1-2, a respectable effort. All in all, I mean, it was close. And if my feet had been less than fleet, my mind hadn't faltered, and it found me a fast friend that day. It's written in mythic proportions. We're gods. That old hippie saw, we're all one, meaning he's one, she's one, so is he, so is she. We're all one. Yes, and a little child shall lead them. Where? Into eventual night, no denying it. Stephen, my friend, perhaps here too you lead us. And I know it's little enough to one more moon, even one more breath. But these days, you teach us much. Thank you, whomever brings it, for time to say these things. Time to watch you breathe in the gift that won't die. Time again for that slow, gentle smile. Time for a long beard of red fire to twist from that rugged chin that you can't shave now. I guess because your white cell count's so low. And you know that I know, and I know it sounds corny, but hey, you never know. Miracles, and who knows what's a miracle, might happen. It's the right month for it. As a community ritual of renewal, I burned in my offering some of Irving's bones, and a poem which tried to imagine you dying. Taped to the top, the Hindu elephant god, 40 hits of the best LSD that ever shivered to earth, which, you recall, you gave me. It meant a lot to implore the gods with the finest. For good measure, I tossed in an ounce of psilocybin. I'm walking these days, taking things easy, collecting like you, with widening holes in my pocket. And I pray, I don't know to what, and that's fine. If I did, would there be any use to it? But there's a link between this brief, fiery cornucopia of feeling, this brief, fiery cornucopia of feeling, and beauty, in an endless, inexhaustible light. We know in our bones always have what it is, just love, never simple. It brings us, it sends us. Its curling signature is that smile when we touch. Professor, this could go on forever. Somehow it might. Whatever comes or does not, I love you and thank you for being my friend. Steve, take that.